Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Show Style and Spirit. I am Ebony, of course, and as you can see from the title of this video, I will be giving my commentary on Carlos King's interview with none other than YouTuber DJ Richie Skye. He actually talks about fans, viewers, of Love and Marriage Huntsville affecting bloggers not wanting to give recaps on LAMH, as well as some cast members. We all know that it's being rumored that Stormy will not be returning to the show. During this interview, he used the phrase, some people not being as involved. Because of some of the viewers. This is something that has been talked about in great detail ever since Dr. Heavenly really doubled down on what she said earlier in the summer about her no longer recapping Love and Marriage Huntsville during Carlos King's Messy Monday show. And then she later said that, allegedly the millimeters were calling her dental office. And she went on a podcast and even used the word crazy. So her using that adjective has really just given this whole thing legs, arms, Jordans, you name it. And so now here he is talking about the quote unquote fans with DJ Richie Skye. And there are a few things that I wanted to talk about. I was listening to this. I had it on in the background as I worked. And I said, I definitely wanted to make a video about it. Now, before I get into his sound bites, I also want to say that he did mention in regards to Destiny and Sonny and Moses, that triangle of a storyline, he said that for all of us viewers who have repeatedly said over the years that Destiny never really shared her life with us, he said that with this storyline, she is sharing. But I do want to point out, Carlos, that pretty much you've allowed Destiny to cherry pick on what she would share. We're not talking about present time where she's literally forced to share her story because it involves two more people who have been an open book with us. We are talking about seasons past where we really did not know anything about her. We started to learn a little when she had a sit down with Tiffany. They sat down at a bar and Tiffany opened up about being biracial, being adopted, and then Destiny said, she talked about not having her mom in her life and living in different cities. And then at some point, her dad, had custody of her. Then we started to learn bits and pieces. But Destiny is the type, she'll do an interview and you end up more confused than before she did the interview. So that's not really a flex to say that she's sharing because she's on this current season with Sonny and Moses. And I'm going to talk more about what he said as a producer, because I definitely wonder if he was like questioning the way Sonny produced Destiny during season 5. Of course, I ask humbly if you could please hit the like button on this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel. And of course, as I've said so far, everything that I'm saying in this video is alleged and just my opinion. And the Copyright Act of 1976 says that my fair use commentary on these sound bites are allowed. So in addition to talking about the millimeters and Destiny, Carlos also said something interesting when he talked about a producer's role. And Carlos said that as a producer, it's not their job to insert their personal feelings or judge the reality, or judge the storyline of the cast member. I found this to be so interesting because typically when Carlos King speaks on his own podcast, Reality with the King on his YouTube channel, he typically talks about the show that he is reviewing or the particular talent for that show. He does not speak so much in depth or so vividly about producers. And it just kind of made me wonder if he felt like Sonny judged Destiny when she produced her or inserted her personal feelings. I will say that, in my opinion, from my perspective, I think it would be quite natural to have some thoughts after conversing with Destiny, seeing how she performs in scenes, what Sunny is able to pull out of her. I think it's pretty normal to develop some sort of thought or conclusion. And he could say, well, that's a judgment. He could very well say that, well, Ebony, that's a judgment. But I think after being around Destiny and conversing with her and trying to get her to share her life and watching her film scenes, then, it could be, yeah, she holds back or she's difficult to produce. Sunny said she already had that rep when she joined the staff. So that pretty much echoes the sentiments of us viewers. But I just thought that was interesting during this interview when he talked so in depth about a producer's role, particularly not being inserting their personal feelings or judging. Well, let's get into what he had to say about the viewers, as well as if cast were to have any problems. So in the beginning of this interview, they also talked about, Bell Collective returns tonight, Friday, November the 1st, I believe at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I really don't watch shows in time. I always watch it like afterwards. So I'll probably look at Bell Collective early in the morning before I go get my locks retwisted. But in any event, he was talking about Antoinette, who appeared in season 1 of Bell Collective. And it sounds like she's returning. You may have noticed that Antoinette and Carlos collaborated when they did kind of like a reminiscing on seasons past of Bell Collective. And it did run on OWN's YouTube channel. Well, Carlos talked about how professional Antoinette was when she resigned from Bell Collective season 1, even sending him a resignation letter on her own letterhead. And he said that he told her that she could come back anytime. He used that to segue into some cast members are not all professional that way, and they may not have the nerve to give him a call when they feel a way or feel like something, has happened that they are not pleased with. And he decided to talk about that. So I want to go ahead and play this soundbite, and then I'll come back with my commentary.
A particular cast member who may be not burning a bridge, but definitely setting things on fire. Yeah, listen, what I will say is this. I don't take anything personally because, and I do mean this, when you have my phone number, when you have access to me, and you choose to tell everyone else your grievances and not me directly, it has nothing to do with me. You want people to jump on your side of things because you want the heat to be taken off of you. I'm very much aware of how this game plays. I've been in it for 16 years before some of these girls even had a job in reality television. So I am a founding father of it. And, so I know how this game plays. It's like having kids. When your child is mad at you and they pout and as a parent, you mad because you didn't get your way. Or you mad because of whatever happened. So I look at it like, oh, okay, and I go about my day because it has nothing to do with me. And the thing that I think is so interesting, no one ever asked these folks who may have a grievance with me. Does Carlos know you feel this way? Or like, did you tell him you? No one ever asked that because I also know this too. There's a second part to this. All you have to do is say my name, and you're going to get the press you need. And let's have a real conversation. You're going to get the headline if you say anything negative about me because of the space that I'm in. Mm-hmm. And it's going to get you pressed, and it's going to get the heat off of you. Well, Carlos, this and that. Oh, girl or guy, I know that's right. So, yeah, we don't hate you no more this week. Yeah. Hey, Carlos. Meanwhile, Carlos is minding his business, and people love to say this about me. Why you acting like you don't know what's going on? Because I don't. Unless you call me directly, I know what you're doing. And go ahead. I would never, ever, ever blast anybody I work with publicly because I will call you. Ask any of my cast members. If I feel like there's something going on, I'll call you. Because that's what you do as a grown person. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so he mentioned heat. You know, he talked about there being a heat on a person, and if you wanted to get the heat off of yourself, you would try to blame Carlos or express that you're like upset with him to get the heat off of you. What I want to say is, in my opinion, because one person cannot control the behavior of a group of other people, a group of adults whom they do not know personally, you would only suggest that there's heat on that person, for me, if it was some sort of gang up or there's some sort of plot like, you know, we're going to come after the number one fan base of the number one show on OWN, and we're going to make it seem like it should be on her to control all of these adults. So I kind of feel like it was almost like he pow-powed himself in the foot saying that, because the heat, for me, the heat translates into a gang up, a pile up, to put all of this on one person for the behavior of others. I also want to say that the fact that they talked about Antoinette returning to Bell Collective, and then it segued into a question about someone, you know, almost like doing the opposite of being professional with their resigning. You know, they're not burning bridges, but setting things on fire. You all know, if you've been watching my videos, particularly about Messy Mondays, I always feel like Carlos definitely pre-produces his collaborations with people. He pre-produces, especially the recaps of Love and Marriage Huntsville in particular. So I'm just convinced, because that was such a smooth segue for him to say that. I feel like that was totally pre-produced. Like, yo, we're going to talk about Antoinette returning to Bell Collective. And then I want you to say, because I'm going to talk about how professional she was when she walked away at the end of season 1. And then I want you to say, how do you handle people who are not like that? They're not burning bridges, but they're setting stuff on fire. You know, that was just like, oh my gosh. What a natural question to ask, right? After talking about Antoinette and Carlos is propping out how professional she was. So I'm just convinced that it was definitely meant, you know, in this interview to kind of come down on the viewers of LAMH. But there's more. So next, he's going to do a little age shaming. You know, I always say, like, men, particularly Black men, honey, regardless of their orientation, they will come for your looks and your age. And I just think that those are like tired reads, in my opinion. But let's just go ahead and hear what he says, and then I'll come back with my commentary.
How do you handle the fan response to things that happen on social media? Specifically with regards to, you know, either something that maybe a cast member says, or just a general thought based on something that people saw in an episode. Because I would imagine, I mean, listen, I know you're busy because you're probably, it seems, I'm just using my context clues, y'all film, things are airing, y'all are filming. So I'm sure there's not a lot of time to really be sitting around digesting those things. But how do you compartmentalize that? Great question. So I am grateful that I created a show that has resonated with a large audience. Love and Marriage Huntsville has been the number one show on OWN for, I think, I may get this wrong, but I want to say for the past 4 or 5 years. And that's a blessing. And I don't take that for granted at all, and neither does my cast, right? So within that, there is a select few who take it very personally when it comes to how they feel about what's happening on the show or what's happening to my cast mates. And I understand and love the fact that you have a connection to, you know, the show and the cast, and that's wonderful. never stand for anyone behaving in a way that disrupts somebody outside of the show. You know, if you want to go on Twitter and read the girls and the guys from Phil, we all signed up for this, me included, right? I never clap back at people. It is what it is. I get it, fine. When you take it a step further, though, Richie, and you really start to be maniacal in people's personal lives and you make up stories, that's taking it too far. I strongly believe, and listen, people may disagree with me when it comes to this, and that's fine. No one should be held responsible for another person's behavior. And that's how I feel. Yes, can people say stop or whatever? Okay, fine. That's fine. I get that too. But fundamentally, you should not blame anybody for the actions of other people, especially when they're grown. And there's a lot of people who are grown, who are grandmothers, great grandmothers, aunties and mothers and all those things who behave in the most oddest way. You know, I shared this on my own podcast, Reality with the King. You know, me and Dr. Heavenly are recapping Huntsville for the foreseeable future because people took her colorful commentary and decided to harass her at her job. There's tons of content creators who have said to me, I don't review Love and Marriage Huntsville anymore because some of the audience members are too much. And that makes me sad. That makes me sad because I'm like, what is going on? Like, why can't people have an opinion? No one does that in DC. No one does it for Detroit. And no one does it for Bill Collective. For some reason, when it comes to Huntsville, it's the one show where people have come up to me. Someone personally said to me, girl, I love you, but you can't ever pay me to recap your show anymore. And I was like, is it that bad? And they said, it actually is that bad, Carlos. It's going too far. It's going too far. It's a show. What?
Okay, so of course he brought up Dr. Heavenly and her colorful commentary, and he said that she's a tough woman. So the fact that she would say that people were calling her office and that was going too far, so she had to walk away. You know, he's using Dr. Heavenly's boldness and like brashness to say, oh, the millimeters have like broken her down because she's so tough, you know, and she's saying that it's too much. And it's just like a setup, you know, it's like just really trying to make the viewers, the #1 fan base of Love and Marriage Huntsville, just look totally cuckoo because Dr. Heavenly is oh so tough. So this now it's starting to give staged. It's starting to give staged. Even if, you know, a few people did call her office. I know it wasn't me. That's not my style. That's not my thing. That does not enhance my life. Calling someone's job and harassing them, it does not make Ebony any more money. It's not orgasmic for me. It doesn't bring me more peace or solitude. So I know I ain't do it. Okay. But even if a few people did, you know, this whole portrayal of she's so tough and so strong and it was too much for her. So like just making the millimeters look super duper dark and crazy. It's just giving staged at this point because now he's starting to do the rounds of interviews and talking about it. So this whole attacking the largest fan base of the show is continuing, not just on the show, but during interviews online. And I want to say when he said that this type of behavior doesn't happen with Love and Marriage DC and Love and Marriage Detroit, who is watching Love and Marriage Detroit like that? I think that's why you're not getting this sort of behavior, Carlos. I grew up in Detroit, born and raised, and I don't watch the show like that. I feel like it's miscast. And let me just say this for a minute. When it comes to reality TV, in my opinion, More seasoned age people, they are the best at reality TV because they've been living life. A good example is Karen Huger. We saw when her baby was a senior in high school, season one. Now, Homegirl is out of college. We've seen Karen lose her parents, unfortunately, like real life shit. Now, probably the only show where sorta, kinda, the castmates are younger and it works is Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. That's probably the only one. But still, even then, that cast, they're past the age of 35. And for me, over 35 is that sweet spot for reality TV. And for some on Love and Marriage Detroit, they're there, but I feel like some of the people, I don't know, it's just weird. Like he could show some older couples that worked in the big three, the automotive industry or the mortgage industry. Those two are the most influential industries here in the Metro Detroit area. Nobody that works in those industries are on Love and Marriage Detroit. There's not even a musical well, there's the one guy, Brandon, who's supposed to be a producer, but there's no real musical connection either. Like nobody's checking for Love and Marriage Detroit. And Love and Marriage DC, I don't know. I don't know why the fan base, when I watched his podcast show in DC, the audience seemed to be going off on Ashley Silva. So I kind of feel like they are a little spirited. But the age shaming is like really whack. You would only know that this fan base, their age groups and how they're old enough to be moms and grandmas, in my opinion, if you were watching the LAMH sector bloggers and you're watching the ones who have the live panels where people get to open up from the heart, speak their hearts, then that's where he would really be able to study those analytics and know that, a large amount of the fans, the largest fan base of the show, are more seasoned, like he said. But you could say it in a more classy way where it's not like you're trying to read based on their age, because it's definitely a blessing to get older. So, of course, he talks about, people calling people's jobs and retailers, and he flips the script on whether or not you would want someone to call your job.
Someone's place of employment. Oh, yeah. Call someone, brand deals they're working with. Don't work with this person. Like, how do you feel? And these people. So, is it okay that I contact your job and have them read the mean tweets you say to me and ask them to fire you? Like, so if that's your thing, sis and sir, then is it okay for me? The harassment you give me and the cast, is it then okay for us to then call your place of employment and say, look what your employee is doing to me, and they should be held accountable for that? So I guess because that's playing fair. Yeah. If you're gonna call somebody and say this person behaved on this show and did that, then they should be able to call your job and say this person tweeted me this. Because the stuff y'all say about me, I'll leave a Happy Sunday post and they say the meanest things to me. I'm like, y'all don't take a day off? It's Sunday. Can y'all clock back in Friday and Saturday to read me? Can we at least on the Lord's Day worship the Lord, child? Y'all reading me on a Happy Sunday message? Okay. Why are you?
Okay, so, he talks about when he leaves his motivational Sunday messages, I guess some people still read him in the comment section, and he says, do you all take a day off? And he asks, how would you like it if someone would call your job and reveal to your boss the mean things that you say online and ask them to, make some sort of decision? How would you like that? And of course, I think it's fair to say that no one would like it. Carlos, some people are just going to be negative. That has nothing to do with the millimeters, the largest fan base of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Some people are just elevated 24/7. They want to find things to fuss about. They want to find things to complain about. And if they find you to be particularly positive and or pleasant, they're going to try and provoke a negative reaction out of you. We've been hearing that since we were children in elementary school, and we would come home and tell our parents about someone who's being annoying. So I think that that is just in general, whether it's Love and Marriage Huntsville or any other show, there's going to be negative people who will always complain. And I think that no one would want anyone to call their job. I know I don't put out that sort of negative energy. I know that's not me. So I'm totally at peace knowing that I do not troll or try to bother anyone. And I think that my subscribers, I feel like we found each other, similar vibes, similar energies, and I don't think y'all are doing that either. But I thank you all so much for checking out this video. Hooray, we've made it to the weekend. I am so happy that it is here. I hope that you all had a fantastic Friday. I did. I cannot complain. I'm going to get back to making some more content. But again, I thank you all for checking out this video. Please hit the like button as it is a free way of supporting the channel. And please subscribe to Show Style and Spirit. And I will talk with you all soon. Bye.